So I think a mall. I'm just leaving the mall because I went for a walk at the mall because it's rainy and cold out. I didn't want to go walk around where it's all rainy and cold. I think the mall is a good representation of pretty much human interests because you put them in places where lots of human beings live, and you're basically banking on the fact that human beings are going to come to this location. And at a mall, you have like bookstores. You have Legos, you have like some like sports stores and stuff. You have Yankee Candle, which is really fascinating because they just sell insanely overpriced candles. Like you just have like $32. Like a lot of those candles you see, like you see people like women who are like into Yankee Candle. It's like, I thought those memes are it's like $2,000 a month on candles like a joke, but like people actually spend that because like the candles, you'd be like, how are you burning through that many candles? The candles like $35 a piece. It's like crazy. I was just looking at that and I was like, that is an amazing business model that they've got going on there. Absolutely incredible business model. I mean, it's kind of insane. Like I don't really understand like who's buying all the Yankee candles and like why. But this is kind of like what my thoughts were on the whole mall in general. Like, something I'm like, why is someone buying that many Yankee candles? Like, I'm just like kind of blown away that people are buying that many of these things. And I kind of realized like people are a lot more like children than we think. It's like, I think like a lot of cookbooks, they're not really giving you recipes on how to cook. They're more selling you on like the confidence that you can actually cook. Like most people like kind of are very comfortable in their little bubbles, and like they only want to venture outside their little bubble like a little bit to like get ice cream or like get like a book about something. But like basically this is kind of what I mean though from like a sales perspective, because the big thing of I guess one of the big themes of my life has been, or like recently has been like figuring out how to sell things to people. Like how do I make money in this world to support myself and my family? And I decided on selling supplements because I've been making supplements myself for a number of years, and like it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just turn this up big scale and like sell supplements. And also because before I was selling health coaching, and I was kind of selling lifestyle change, and I had this young naive belief that I could like start a revolution that would like change the world. I was like, oh man, you know, once people figure out about like this diet stuff, I figured out like everyone's just going to be doing it all the time, and like I'm going to lose my competitive edge. I like actually, so I can't take a U-turn right there, they'll actually pull me over. So I actually thought that I would like lose like a competitive edge on like lifestyle change. I was like, holy cow, people are gonna like all just jump on this once I start talking to people about it. No, not the case. Even like organic food is like, people like still don't really buy organic food, and organic food is still like not really mass produced. I mean, it is mass produced now, but it's not mass produced like to the degree that I think it should be, I guess. But I'm gonna bang a Yui right here, maybe use this person's driveway a little bit. They'll think I'm pulling into their driveway, but I actually have never met them before. We're not even best friends. Now I'm leaving, and I'll probably never go to his house again if this guy does a visit. But basically, though, like I thought about like, so then like I think about this like my supplements. Like I'm gonna be making additive-free. I am making additive-free supplements that like best stuff on the market, purest stuff on the market. Once people realize, like, it's this weird thing where I'm like, I want to get it to market quickly because I don't want to like have someone else get it to market before me, and then I can't make all the sales that I would have made or something. But then also, like, no one's still selling this stuff. Like, even if you go on Google right now and you Google, hope this is the right way, and you Google additive-free melatonin, like, you can't find it. Like, everything that comes up has additives in it. Like, people, just everyone, they all use additives. And I don't know if it's because they don't know what additives are, but it's this, I don't know how rational it is. I guess, like, there is a bandwagon effect where, like, once people see other people doing things, there does tend to be, like, everyone jumps on the bandwagon effect. But it's like, how do you get people to do that? So that's where I'm like, okay, everyone's already buying supplements. I can probably get the supplements out there, get the book out there and everything. Because I had that guy at the gym that I talked to who was like, people just want to know what they should be taking and that it works. And I'm like, well, I can totally provide that. So I'll just write a quick book up that'll cover that, and I'll use Scrum to organize my process of writing the book so I can actually get it out on time. But basically, though, I think I'm optimistic, but I'm also, like, worried that I'm delusional. It's kind of this interesting thing where I'm like, I think my ideas are so good that they're going to be immediately adopted by everyone. But also, though, I have to spend all this energy getting the ideas adopted by people. So, and the ideas are this good, but there's just this, like, it's hard. Like, it's hard to get people to actually change, because, like, I mean, just tell me in the comments below, like, how many people who watch my channel have actually stuck to only eating beef, salt, and water for a month straight. It's hard to even get myself to stick to that, honest to God. Like, I mean, I do, because, like, watch me bitch and moan about having insomnia when I don't. But basically, I'm like, it's just kind of like, I have kids, and I'm like, okay, I gotta, like, raise my kids to implement all the best ideas. And then I just wonder, I'm like, about my own legacy, though, and, like, my own children, I'm like, are they gonna really, like, stick to my ideas? Because they look at, like, society, and I'm like, we're all descended from, like, conquerors. We are. We're all descended from conquerors. And I was looking around at everyone at the mall, and I'm like, there doesn't seem to be a lot of conquering going on. And I'm like, well, because it's better to trade, I guess. But how quickly we exchange conquest for bread and circuses. Like, even Rome, like, a society of warriors built by warriors ended up becoming bread and circuses. And it's just like, what are we as human beings? We're interesting. I mean, Winston Churchill was fat and, like, drank a lot, which isn't very admirable, but I think he did other things that were admirable. I haven't read enough about it. I've read a lot about Winston Churchill, but I haven't read the Last Lion series, which is like a 3-book compendium about Winston Churchill's life. So I feel like I don't really know that much about Winston Churchill. I don't know. I mean, there is this, like, masculine ideal of the heroic warrior that I think is very cool. And then there's other, it's like Athena. I find Athena very admirable. Even though I'm a Christian, Orthodox Christian, I'm still like, yo, Athena. Athena's just so badass. I'm just like, wow. Big fan of Athena. But the mall, back to the mall though. Like, I see Lego, and I think that Lego does more to sell people on adventure than anything else. Like, okay, like, basically, like Abraham in his tent in Genesis. Abraham sitting at his parents' tent. He's got rich parents. Everything's made for him. He doesn't have to actually go out and have an adventure. And it seems to kind of be like what people are. Though I guess Abraham does hear the voice of God and goes and listens and has an adventure. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm very much like in the adventure phase, sword in hand, like, I will carve my place in this world, or more, I'll carve my place out of this world, and I'll take it with me wherever I want to go. I'll carve whatever I want out of whatever I want. Very much, very warrior. But, and I look around at, like, other people not in that state, like, even my 2 daughters, like, though they kind of pick up my energy, so they have a lot of, like, warrior qualities. And I'm like, most of humanity isn't this like, whoa, like this heroic masculine ideal. It's like board games. I look at a lot of board games and I'm like, what is the point of board games? And I feel like a lot of the purpose of board games is just to give people something to socialize over. But I'm like, why can't we socialize over conquest? Like, in whatever form we happen to decide to take conquest. So like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm just a very specific kind of person who, like, I don't really feel like at peace unless I've like gone to jiu-jitsu, like worked on conquering some section of the world in a meaningful sense. Like, that's what business is for me. Business is just world conquest. Because even like my business plans, my long-term business plans, I've ultimately wrapped them up in plans for world conquest. Because like I don't really know how to understand business. Like not even in the sense of like I need to take over the world, but like if my business plan doesn't have taking over the world as step C, I don't really understand steps like A through E. I'm like, okay. But like, how does this end with me taking over the world? And they're like, it doesn't. I'm like, okay, like, so how is this business then? They're like, well, you're gonna like, there's goods and services in it, but like, okay, how does this scale to the point where I'm literally taking over the world? Like, I need to understand that, or I just don't understand how it's business. Call it whatever you want to call it. That's just the way my brain's wired. So, because I'm like, well, someone's trying to take over the world, successfully or unsuccessfully. So if I don't have at least some semblance of a plan for how to take over the world, then how am I going to understand it when the other person who's trying to take over the world either successfully or unsuccessfully arrives at my door taking over the world or not taking over the world? But like there's someone who's trying to take over the world. Somewhere. Like someone somewhere is trying to take over the world. So how am I going to understand? And people have tried before, like Napoleon, Hitler, like you could argue like the Japanese Empire, you could argue the United States is trying to take over the world right now. So like the Jews are trying to take over the world with the banking thing. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I personally think that they're kind of just, I don't think the Jews are honestly trying to take over the world. Because I think if they were really trying to take over the world, they'd have done it by now. I think from having talked to quite a few Jews, I think they're mostly just kind of being Jewy with each other. And I think that preoccupies most of their time. And then I think that they are a lot more organized, so they do end up with a lot more wealth, and we should probably focus on being organized and working together. But it's really just the result of the family dinners. Like they have these family dinners every Saturday, and it just like brings them together. So then they're all, well, you're having this problem, so why don't I help you with it? So I don't think the Jews are trying to take over the world. I just think that they don't even think, they just are a more organized culture. So people like end up attributing, they're like, well, they must be trying to take over the world. But it's like, okay, have you ever like set aside, this is where I actually kind of empathize, like I've actually set out a plan to take over the world. And I can tell you, if someone's got a plan to take over the world, they're not trying to take over the world. So if I even trying to take over the world, like not, like kind of, like yes, I am trying to take over the world, but like not really. Like if I actually succeeded in taking over the world, I think I'd probably be disappointed because I'd be like, this really wasn't what I set out to do. I don't know. I mean, I'm like, maybe in 3 or 4 generations, my bloodline will take over the world. Like, it's not my goal. It is not my goal. It's just like, but like, ultimately, if the system you're building can't take over the world, like, is it even, like, if you can't even reason through taking over the world, are you even building a company, or are you just building an excuse, like something you just waste money on? Because it should be a viable system. And if it's a viable system that has some real organizational merit, then you're going to think, damn, what if the whole world were organized this way? And then you're going to think, how could I set up this system so that if things just go according to plan, the whole world does end up being organized this way? Then you look back, you're like, wow, I've just made a plan to take over the world. I think it's a good thing. Everyone should do that at some point in time. It just helps you really think about stuff. So, and you get to consider all avenues. I mean, like, really devote a few weeks to this. Like, think it through, and then you can have it, like, the plan sitting in the back pocket, you know. If you whip it out, read through it if you ever want a refresher on how taking over the world works. I don't know why you would, but if you do want that. But I look around the mall, and I see this absence of taking over the world kind of energy. And I'm like, well, why are you not trying to take over the world? And I think a lot of it is, or like, why are you not... I think a lot of it is just that, like, people are comfortable. And a lot of the reason I think about taking over the world is like I'm not comfortable. Like I just don't feel comfortable because I don't have control over my own food supply. Like they could just start sticking soy-based shit in the meat and like that would just be the fucking end of me. So it's stressful for me, honestly. Like I'm just like, okay, I need to like control the food, like at least my own food supply completely. I already control my own supplement food supply. I'm like, I want to have the syntheses on that down. Like I want to be synthesizing everything from scratch. I'll be designing all the equipment it happens, probably growing the food that I end up extracting the things that I use to synthesize the stuff out of. I want complete control on that, total vertical integration. And not having that honestly just give me a lot of anxiety. I have constant anxiety because I'm like, what if they were to change it's just a pain in the ass. Like, I hate not sleeping. Meat went up it's doubled in price in the last 5 years. This gives me a lot of anxiety. So I'm like, I need to control a larger section of what's happening because I just don't feel like happy about how things are being managed and the possible directions of these things going. And so I see a lot of people at the mall and they're all very complacent. And because they're very complacent, they don't feel the need to take as many risks as I do. And I think like a lot of like the biggest risk a lot of people take is like getting 1,000-piece Lego set. They're like, wow, am I gonna finish it? Like, I don't know, maybe I just finished a lot of Lego sets growing up, so I really like have that self-belief nailed down, but I don't know. I just think that like a lot of like people attempt things. Like it wasn't like a Genghis Khan only started trying to take over the world because a bunch of people kidnapped his wife and he was like, well, now I gotta take over the world. Like that's something that I would definitely do. Like if anyone hurt some of my family, like I don't know. And I just wonder, and I look around and I'm like, are people just latent Genghis Khans? I mean, kind of not, but like maybe something in their bloodline is, because I don't know. I mean, I just think back to like all the people who tell me they would have wrestled in high school who like totally didn't wrestle in high school. And it really, I'm like, wow. And they're still not even at jiu-jitsu practice. And I'm just like, come on, like show up. Like show up. Even if you show up to like a trial week and you just get your ass kicked the whole trial week. Like that's admirable. That's just admirable. Like I like that guy, I'm like, kudos to you, but like people don't even show up, and that's where you don't see like a jiu-jitsu gym at the mall. Like there's kind of a limit to the base human's ability to understand adventure, and this is where I'm like, I don't know if I would make a business model, because even myself, like, am I always taking adventure all the time? Like, probably not. I'm probably just at like a particularly adventurous stage of life, and I'm gonna find some sort of comfortable series of things to do. I mean, I don't have an actual death wish, so I'm probably not gonna just spend my entire life destroying all the systems that give me comfort because they're comfortable and nice. But I do have this wish to like find the edge and like look over it, because it's like if you don't know where the edge is, like what if the edge is encroaching? That's something. So I don't know. I think a mall though, like I think if you can introduce your ideas to people through a mall, they're probably really good ideas. But like I see a lot of these like I don't know, like I used to have like more ideas on like changing the world, and I still do have ideas on changing the world, but I think changing the world is slower though, because like people are resistant to change. Like how are you gonna get a lot of people to change rapidly? Like would you even want to? Maybe rapid changes, like if you look at our life, like our life is not that much different than it was in ancient Rome. Maybe that's good. What are human beings then? Like, are we just these creatures that kind of exist between civilization and the unmitigated wild? Is that Eden? Is everything between a microprocessor and those rocks right there Eden? Maybe. And we're just kind of in this walled garden, just being people. I guess that's where like that makes sense to me. That honestly makes a lot of sense to me. I think the thing to do in that walled garden is improve people's lives little by little. I think it starts by improving your own life. I think Henry Ford did a lot, like driving in a car, looking at all the other people driving cars. I think Henry Ford did maybe more than anyone else that I can think of to improve people's lives. But could Henry Ford have been Henry Ford without everyone else who was everyone else? Where's the next push forward going to come from? Is it going to look like a push, or is it going to look like a slow pull? Maybe it's already happening with YouTube. I mean, it's cool if people can all get together in a mall. Like, it's interesting though, the limited number of ideas. Like having kids now, and like having started a business, and like been on a few adventures, been on enough adventures to know adventuring. Like I think of life as like, it's kind of like people's tolerance for adventure. Like you go have the adventure of your life, and it's going to be largely analogous to the adventures that other people have had, but it's going to be your own. And then we just end up in this same place, like in this same structure, and everyone's like, all the books in Barnes & Noble, like a lot of them are like, is the world going to end? Is the world going to end? Is the world going to end? And it's like, the world hasn't ended yet. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, people aren't really talking to each other outside. I mean, I wasn't really talking to anyone either, because I was trying to get my steps in. But I don't know. I mean, I guess like I wish people were friendlier, but it's like, what's there to be friendly about, and where are people friendly, and why are they friendly? Are people friendly because they think that everyone's in the same situation as them? There's a bar and a tap house attached to the mall, and I saw the bar and the tap house, and I was like, I don't want to be there. Like, I think that a lot of people spend a lot of their time in that bar and in that tap house, in that tavern, in that whatever place, like just kind of like waiting. And like, I don't know, maybe we're all just waiting in a different location, but like I guess I can wait on top of a mountain. I find that a better place, but I don't think that makes me better. I like that more. And I don't think that I need to make society progress by driving people out of the tap house, because maybe their place is in the tap house and my place is on the mountain, and maybe they see a video of me on the mountain while they're in the tap house, and maybe that's the proper way for it all to go down. I don't really know. I mean, there's part of me that's just, I'm like, but you're going to become these disgusting troglodytes by being in the tap house. And I'm like, but that's, a lot of it, that's just me judging myself for what I would perceive as becoming me if I were to do that. But that's not them. And I think that, like, I've had this thought before. I had this at the mall, and I was just like, because I'll be like tempted to just be like, I wonder like all the possible, I think it's something other people do, otherwise I wouldn't be sharing it online. But like, I'm like, I wonder about all the possible negative thoughts people could be thinking about me. And then I'm just like, but like, I don't think that they want to think that way, because I don't want to think that way about them. So they probably don't want to think that way about me, because if we're thinking that way about other people, then we're probably thinking that way about ourselves. And that basically was what it was. It was just me kind of like, I'm like, just what is that? Like, what is that? And like, do I need to mentally participate? And is that just something that everyone's kind of like dealing with in their own way on an ongoing basis? And the point of life isn't it's not to judge it or whatever, but it's just kind of like to not focus on that part of yourself that's just judging everything. Like, because it's like, there's just this temptation where I'm like step into the mall and I'm just like, all these people eating their soy food, so uneducated. They don't know it's just growing the cancer in their bodies. I bet they haven't even trained today, and that they're walking around the mall isn't even part of a well thought out training program consisting of eccentric and concentric triple hip extensions with explosivity to train all of the muscle systems and mitochondrial adaptations at the same time. They're probably not even engaged in proper combat training, so that if they needed to defend their liberty, they wouldn't be able to. How absolutely degenerate of me to live in an area from which I could not even raise a suitable arm. Like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, I don't know. I'm like I'm thinking these things. Like, I don't even know how I'm gonna get home. Is that Rockport, or is that not the place I should be going? Is this where I should be going? Maybe this is just where I should be going. This is a Blackburn Industrial Park. I guess that's a place. But I'm making this video and I'm into that, so we'll just see where that all takes us. But basically though, I'm like, So I'm looking at the mall though, and I'm kind of just thinking of the mall because I'm just constantly like, I had this health crisis that I feel like defined a lot of my life, or maybe I'm letting it define part of my life, or it just does define a huge section of my life. Like it just does, because like I'm like, I don't know, I just have to like I don't feel right not sharing what I know based on what I've been through, because I just think that that's like what I wanted myself to do when I was going through it. Like I just was like, what's meaningful is to like help other people not go through this, and there's really like, what's the point of me going through it if I'm not gonna like help? But then am I just imagining? Like I'm not imagining it. I'm not imagining that other people have these health problems that are created by autoimmunity. I'm not imagining that autoimmunity is this like huge issue that people are becoming aware of. But it's like, I do wonder, am I just tempted to think it's a bigger issue than it is because I want it to be, so I can feel important for having solved it? Because I do legitimately think I solved it. And because, I'm alive and I'm here and I can sleep, and that's very strong evidence to me that I've solved it, because I'm far. That's strong evidence to me that I've solved it, because if I hadn't solved it, I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't still be here because it was freaking killing me. So, and I seem to take it farther in explaining it than the people who have done the lion diet and carnivore diet the most, because those are the people who seem to have it the worst, the people who are just on the lion diet. So I just think about like how to introduce these ideas to people, because it's like how do I introduce these ideas to people? And I think I just do it by like, because I found people through the Kettlebell Club who resonate with my training philosophy, and I found people through the ads who resonate with the insomnia, and I'm like, maybe if I like bring them together and give them supplements, then I can create, because I need to like make money. So I'm like, I need to like have money to fund this. So there needs to be something I can provide. And I realized like supplements, like an idiot. Like I literally took like people, I was like running the webinar, go check out the webinar I posted over a year ago. And people were like, so what's the magic pill we take? And I'm like, there is no magic pill. You get to make your own supplements. They were like, we don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, and then I was like, well, I guess I have to make them for people. And then, silly though, it may make sense. So now I'm just in this weird position where I'm like, well, I'm the only person making additive-free supplements. And I think that they're like the next big thing, because like they are for me. And I talk to enough people, and I think that I'm be able to like, I already sold it, so I don't think I just sold it purely on my like amazing charisma. I think people actually wanted it. So like this is good, but I want to introduce more ideas though, because like I'm kind of that guy who's just like more ideas, and I'm like starting to realize though that there's like a tolerance in the culture to like new ideas. Like there's only a certain amount of new ideas that people like before they start like, whoa buddy. But I don't know though, I'm like, if you put the new ideas, like if I take my ideas and I put them into supplements with cool bottles, then people seem to like my idea. They do like my ideas better. They're like, wow, I really like these supplements. I'm like, awesome, okay, so how do I package my ideas? I'm looking at the mall, I'm like, the mall is a whole bunch of packaged ideas. It's like, each store is like a bunch of ideas all packaged, and then like each store, like, and then the mall is a bunch of packaged up stores, which are all like these packaged ideas. So it's just these like packaged ideas. And I'm like, well, they're already tested because like they're at the mall. Like Yankee Candle is this idea. I'm like, this is crazy. Like people are just buying these candles. I'm like, this is how they want to experience the world, is through soy candles that have scent. Why are people choosing to experience the world in such a limited way? That's something I'm wondering, like why? And I'm like, well, is it because they haven't been introduced to something yet? Is this just kind of the level of consciousness that a certain segment of the population is operating at? These are all the thoughts I'm having at the mall, and it's interesting to me. It's really interesting to me. I'm like, where is society at? Like, it just seems to me like, I don't know. I'm like, if there was going to be another American Revolution, where would those people be? Where are they? What did they look like? What did the people who started the first American Revolution look like? Where would they be now? Like, what would they look like now? I want to go all over the world and just talk to people all over the world. I mean, there's just different kinds of people all over the world. Like, what do the malls look like? Is a bazaar in Turkey fundamentally the same as an American mall? Are the people who attend them the same? Like, what is this all? I mean, there's a certain degree to which, like, America is this place that you come if you believe in yourself, because it's really hard to make money. It's harder to make money here. There's less, like, established networks. I mean, the old world's the old world. So you stay in the old world, you have all this. You kind of just submit to the old world system, and it seems to take care of people in the old world. I mean, I don't know. They'll be like, I talk to Europeans, and they're like, oh, these Americans with their immature attitudes towards the world, and I'm like, are we immature? Do you just not believe in yourself? What is this? A combination of both? How much is it a combination of both? How much is it one or the other of these two things? And that's just like, that's what I think. And like, how much is this reflected in an American mall? Like, how much could I find the self-belief of the people reflected in their institutions? How much does this institution reflect the people, or how much are we a people? Are the American people a people, or are we, like what Nietzsche talked about, like, are we the becoming of a people? Are we the change? Are we like a people undergoing change? Are we this melting pot of a people that will become a people in the future? Like, do we have a collective American will, or is our will the will of the world warring amongst itself? Is America just the war of the gods of all the other countries? What is this? What is this place? And then you look at all the Graham Hancock books in the Barnes & Noble at the library, and they're like, this world has reset itself many times. The old America, old American Stone Age. You're like, whoa, like just what? The world, huh? The world, huh? Yeah, I'll say it again just because, but it makes me think, like, the world. Que interesante. How interesting. Really, like, makes me wonder. So an American mall, like, it just contains all of these ideas you can experience, from Legos to, like, clothing. Why don't we make our own clothing? It's a huge pain in the ass. Everyone's got to go work at all these stores, and the fruit is all represented at the mall. What is this society we've made? Do people like it? Let me know in the comments below. Like, what do you think of what do people think of this society that we've made? I think it's a good place to be human. It makes me really appreciate what I have. I mean, I think that psychedelics are really something special, at least the way I do them, where I really believe it helps me experience God. I know it does, but like, that's like the way I train jiu-jitsu, the way I interact with my family. These things are all really important. These are more than just transitory things. I don't know. I think we find things of value and we keep them. We investigate what it means to be human. Does God even know what it means to be human? It's like you're walking through the bookstore and it's like there's just all these questions. And there's the religious section. And it's just like, to be human is to ask all these questions and more. To be human is to look at a cookbook, look at a book on sex, look at a book on God, look at a travel book, say, screw all this shit and go buy a golf club or something. Like, we're an interesting lot, and I see that expressed, and then I wonder about, like, global wars and global conquests and how these things arise, and how I would see these things arising, and how I would ride the wave of these things, and the Indian people at the store with their kiosks riding their own wave, me at the store getting my steps in, walking around the mall because it's raining outside. People go to the mall. People are people. But yeah, I think the mall is, honestly, it's a really good representation of like humanity and like what ideas people resonate with to a large degree. Humanity. Though you don't find pornography at the mall, which is interesting. I guess maybe in, like, books, there's, like, pornographic books, but, like, they can't be explicit, or you wouldn't see them at the mall. But, so it's a little bit washed. I mean, there aren't really drugs at the mall. People like drugs. You can't really get psychedelics at the mall. But beyond that, I mean, it's a certain stabilized presenture of society. Maybe when people all start doing psychedelics together, that's when everyone gets the idea for conquest. Maybe human beings without psychedelics are kind of in this latent stage, and with psychedelics activated, they become like the Mycenaean Greeks and go take over the Mediterranean, conquer so much that they then disintegrate in their own Babel, unable to understand each other, and all interfighting with their own representations of God. No, this is the highest ideal. And Christ came and kind of showed us all that we don't need to be constantly trying to represent God. But again, the more I contemplate Christ, the more I'm like, I don't really know how much we understand of the nature of God. I think Christ was God. I think Christ is God. But I don't know what that means. I know that gives me some sort of divinity, and I just want to share all this stuff. I mean, I think that just having my voice every day just out there, just sharing ideas is useful, because I'm just trying to reason through the world. Like, I'm looking at the world and I'm just like looking at all the confusion, and I'm like, well, where's not confusion? Well, not confusion seems to come from people talking. I'm like, well, I like to talk, so I'll talk, and people can talk to me, and then that'll form its own little hub. And I think that that's the network, the net, the web of people sharing ideas with people is sort of like what holds the world together. And maybe when people stop talking to each other about these ideas that they're thinking about, then societal trust breaks down in some metaphysical sense, because maybe all society is just enough people talking about ideas with enough people. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This is like what motivates me to I like say weird stuff to strangers. Like, I want to do that more. I used to do that more as a kid, but I kind of, I'm like, oh, I'm walking, I'm busy, but like, I'm like, I just want to, like, I don't know, someone's like, hey, like, how are you doing today? I'm like, I'm very contemplative. I think about like ancient Rome and whether or not we're basically Rome because we have plumbing and they had plumbing. And the only real difference between us and Rome is that we have electricity and they have plumbing, and we still have plumbing, but now we have plumbing and electricity. And they're like, I don't know, maybe then they're like, okay, man, so I'm like, I think that we just need more of these ideas going out, because I think that that's important. I think that all the ideas need to be shared, and if we end up commercializing ourselves too much, then we'll factionalize, and that these factions will be conquered by other factions. And I think that basically what prevents that is this idea that by talking together about things, it's interesting, and like you know what I mean? Like literally, it's just like, I go on YouTube, I listen to Peterson, like Jordan Peterson and stuff, and I think about, I'm like, if Jordan Peterson didn't exist, how much would that affect my faith in like Western civilization? I'm like, so I have a duty to share my ideas too, because the fact that civilization can produce me sharing my ideas and people can listen to those could give other people faith and inspire them to share their ideas, and then they share their ideas, and now we're a society of people sharing ideas, and maybe we actually implement the best ideas. Maybe it continues to get better. I believe that it can continue to get better, but I think that better kind of comes down to everyone defining that for themselves, and like people talking with their families, like saying, hey family, what do you think better is? And then like, we're gonna work for and defend this definition of better. And when everyone kind of like, it's like when one person becomes a family, and then a family becomes a extended family, and an extended family becomes like a confederacy of extended families, and a confederacy of extended families becomes like a local community with governmental willpower, then government has to obey the will of the people. And then when government has to obey the will of the people, because there is a will of the people, because people actually figured out what they wanted and talked to each other about it, then I think that what people want is good, and I think that it happens. And I think that the mall is an example of when people form a consensus about what they want, it happens. And there's a mall, and you can go to it, you can buy stuff, and that's much better than homicide, murder, and privation. So go to your local mall and talk to some people.